y'all, welcome back to Leaven Kitchen. It's Fernando, or Fern, and today we're actually going over the CL50. Now this is a food processor machine, not to get it confused with your standard sort of food processor, right, that's going to have a blade in there. This guy is actually better used for a few different things, right? So we can slice, we can dice, we can grate, right? So a few different components or a few different parts of this machine, right, is you have your main shooting apparatus with the pusher, right? So this is actually going to push your ingredients down into the blade so it can cut it properly. As you can see, I have it sort of apart here. So this is your main piece. When you line it up on here, it just lines up real simple, and there's actually a push pin you're going to want to use. This is going to keep this thing in place. What's great about the push pin is once I have it in there, if I have to go in here and scrape anything out, then I don't have to sit here and hold the top part, right? So the push pin, again, keeps this guy in place. Now, really important with these is that you're being safe. The machine actually has some really good safety features. Main thing there is that it's magnetized. So there's a magnet right on here, there's a magnet right down here in the pushing mechanism. So what that means is there's a blade turning in there. I can literally put my hand in there, which I don't want to do, right? But you don't want to cut any fingers, you don't want to lose any digits there. So this, once it opens up, it's actually going to stop that machine. And we actually have some samples here. We're going to cut and grate a few things, that way you can see it in action and see how it works. So first off, again, I've put it together. We have a pushing mechanism for our long boys, right? So if you have cucumbers, things of that nature. And this pushing mechanism, I like to call it for our fat boys, right? Whether you have a potato, tomatoes, I have a pepper here, we'll go through that. And I have some cheese, so we'll use the grater as well. So again, going over the components, this is our pusher. This is the top part of our machine, which again, attaches on there via pin, but we have a few other components. So what I want to go over is, we'll go over each one individually. First we have our discharge plate. So with the discharge plate, it's actually designed to go into the machine, and it does just that. It discharges your product out of the machine. It's going to help shoot it out of there. There is going to be some product that's stuck in there. It's okay, but we really want to make sure we're using the discharge plate because it just makes it simple for stuff to shoot right on out of the machine. From there, we have a few specific pieces here. This first piece is actually two parts, right? You can actually use it just as a regular vegetable slicer, but if we're actually dicing, we're dicing small pieces, whether it's onions, tomatoes, whatever it is, whatever you want to dice, this actually works in conjunction with this, and it'll slice and dice for you both at the same time. So the biggest issue with this guy, I would say, is cleaning. So there is actually a mechanism here that should make it, I would say, simple to clean this guy. It is very sharp. You don't want to run your hand across here. So this actually works really well in that regard. So what you actually want to do is, you'll notice this has sort of what I call a shark fin. There's a shark fin right on this piece here. So what you want to do is you attach that, you grab this guy, makes it simple to scrape off. Again, there's going to be onions, there's going to be gross stuff. And you'll notice they're probably hard to see on the camera, but there are little bits on there from the person who uses this last, which is okay. It's kind of a pain to clean. But again, you use this guy, it'll catch the product. You can actually poke the product down here. And this is designed, this actually has three different sides, three different sizes, depending on what you're using. The beauty of it, though, is it actually has little measurements. You can't see it on camera, but the measurements match this exactly. So what's great about that is you're not going to use the wrong part, right? So if I go in here, I can simply push this in, and again, this makes it nice and easy for me to go through, get some of that loose product, get some of that product out of this, just so it's simple for you to clean once you get into the sink area. So again, I know I went off on a tangent a little bit about cleaning it. I just wanted to show that part while I was showing you this piece here. From there, you have your standard slice disc. Each slice disc, by the way, or each of these components actually has your measurements on there. So this is 5 3/16. So this is going to cut, again, you can't really see it there, but that's going to cut 5 3/16 for you. And then you have your standard grater. A lot of different components available for these, a lot of different attachments, which are great. But again, we're going to go over these few today. So to show you guys a live demo, we're going to go ahead and start with what I like to call our long boy here. We're just going to simply slice. We're not going to really show the dice today, so we're just going to slice this guy. It's a 3/8 of an inch slicer. So you want to start off, again, as I discussed before, we want to start off with the discharge plate. You put that in there. You'll notice there's grooves on there. What's great about those grooves is you're not going to put this in the wrong way. So simply set it in there. So when we're placing this guy, you'll notice there's little grooves on there, kind of like your standard sort of KitchenAid mixer at home, right? When you put it in there, well, it's only going to go in one way. Again, we want to be super careful when we're using this, guys. You don't want to slice your finger off. So super simple, you set it in there and you want to sort of give it a little turn and that'll put it into place. Sometimes it'll pop into place instantly like it did there for me, but again, we want to make sure it's just in place for us. From there, you want to close this guy. Again, another safety feature is that we want to close this little latch. That's going to latch this into place so this guy isn't moving around. So when we're ready to use this guy, super simple. You have your off, you have your on. Remember, as I said a little bit earlier, magnetized, so you want to make sure this is closed and down. If we're using your long boy, at this point you want to make sure it's out, so we're going to actually be using the long boy. We're going to cut this cucumber up. So from here, you want to make sure we're on. And once we're on, it's turning in there. So you want to make sure, again, that you're being super careful here. Machine's a little loud, I do apologize, but you'll notice once I open it up, safety, it's going to turn off. And then it'll turn back on. So now I'm ready to cut our cucumber up. It's going to shoot right out of here. So you want to make sure you have something in place to actually catch your product. So I'm going to go ahead and load this guy. And again, you want to use that pusher, and that pusher will make sure it gets all that product in there. From there, go ahead and turn off, and you'll notice you have your perfectly cut cucumbers there. So if you're sitting there working, you have a lot to cut, whether it's a long boy or a fat boy, it's going to cut it up really well for you. So I'm going to go ahead and use your same slicer. We're going to cut up our pepper here. So I've already prepped it, took the seeds out, all of that good stuff. First off, though, I'm going to go ahead and open up this guy. And I'm going to just make sure, so first off what I'm going to do is make sure this guy is clean. Typically you want to do is run this through the 3-comp sink to make sure it's nice, clean, and ready for your next vegetable, right? From there you also want to make sure you check the discharge plate, make sure there's no errant product in there, especially if you've been running it a few times with that same product. Again, we'll place this back in place, give it a little spin, make sure it clicks down so we're safe and good to go. And now for this part, you can actually store this and keep the pusher for the long guy. It'll snap in place. But this time we're going to use the big guy here, right? So what I want to do first is make sure we're on. So now we're spinning. And then from there, it's going to shut off for me. But since I already had it on, it's just a safety feature. So it's going to shut off so I can load it. So now I'm going to go ahead and load our pepper there. Close it up. And you want to make sure you're ready because it's going to spit out instantly, right? So you want to make sure your mechanism or your catch is ready, right? But again, just like our cucumbers here, this is going to slice it, again, and it's going to cut sort of your jobs in half, right? So if you have a ton of bell peppers, a ton of cucumbers, whatever it is, and you need to slice those things, definitely utilize this machine. It's a great machine. It'll work very well. Really simple to use. I'd say one of the biggest complaints is just cleaning, right? We don't like to clean anything, but it's just one of those things. We want to make sure we're being food safe, for one, but also just make it worth your while in the kitchen. Cut your time, right? Make it simple and efficient for you to use these machines. So we got those. And then finally, again, nothing to it. We're going to go ahead and just grate this block of cheese. Again, at this point, I would probably wipe it down or spray it down, what have you, since we've been doing some vegetables and stuff like that. And I'll actually go ahead and just give it a quick wipe here. But typically what you want to do if you're switching things like that is actually give it a nice thorough cleaning. But that being said, we're just showing you guys today, no big deal. So the final component I want to show you is our grater. So got a ton of cheese, you're grating quite a bit, filling whatever you're filling right, using it in your recipe. This will make short work of grating. Same concept here, load it, spin it, close it, put this down so it's not moving on us, and then from there on and off, right? So pretty simple. Same concept, load the thing up. This is going to shut it off. And then from there, you just want to load your block of cheese. I want to make sure I do this properly. And that's going to spin for me, and I just want to push that down. Go ahead and shut that off. And now I have grated cheese. So again, this has been a quick introduction, quick overview of the CL50 machine. So finally, I just want to run over quickly on how to clean this guy. You want to make sure it's, for one, being cleaned properly, right? That way it's ready for you the next time you use it, but also that we lengthen the life of the machine. So much like your mixers, your mixing bowls, things like that, no component in here should go through the dishwasher. In fact, you'll notice there's a little bit of discoloration on this guy. This guy has definitely gone through the dishwasher. So if you compare the finish here, what starts to happen is some of that enamel starts to wear off, and that can actually get into your food, which is not good, right? So never put this guy through the dishwasher. Run it through your 3-compartment sink, let it air dry, you're good to go. From there, of course, you want to take off any bits left in here. I'll turn this guy so you can see when I was talking about that discharge plate, right? Is you have the discharge plate, but you're still going to have some product in here. Simply, we don't want to waste any of that, right? Simply put your bowl in there, scrape that product down in there so you can take it out. So we shredded some cheese. Cheese looks great, ready for taco night. We actually sliced some peppers. We sliced some cucumbers, really nice and efficient. This is really going to make quick work if you have a lot of cucumbers, if you have a lot of product, a ton of cheese, right? It's going to make quick work out of it. So now we're ready to clean this guy. Again, as we discussed, you don't want to run any components through the dishwasher, but really important, like with everything else, unplug when you're ready to clean this. From there, you just take your rag, get the excess off of there. Really helps if you have something to catch it, which is okay. If not, no big deal. So again, you want to make sure it's unplugged. From there, you can take your standard sanitizing spray. Spray this guy. You want to spray nice and, again, liberally. You're not really going to hurt anything in here. Because again, this is all food contact space, right? We want to make sure this is clean. So you go in there, you can just make sure everything's nice and scraped off, and there's really nothing to it. Let it air dry, let it dry up. But you want to treat this guy like any other appliance, say in your home or in your kitchen, right? We want to take care of it. We want to make sure the longevity factor is there, and we want to make sure we're able to use it going forward. Once again, guys, I'm Fern here at Leaven Kitchen. We just went over the CL50, how to use. We sliced, we diced, we utilize it to the best of our ability, and we're ready to move on with our recipes. So please make sure you like, you subscribe, so you don't miss out on any good content, any good videos coming up.